Theta Brain Waves. This video is a continuation of the videos on brainwaves that are related to yoga, consciousness, and meditation. So what are brainwaves? Again, the brain emits electrical pulses which are measured per second. These pulses are measured by an EEG or an electroencephalogram. And these cycles per second, or CPS, speed up or slow down the rate of our thoughts, or speed up or slow down along with variations in our moods. There are 5 types of brain waves. Beta, which if you're following this series we've already studied, which is 13 to 30 cycles per second, where we are busily engaged in activities and conversation. Alpha, which we've already studied, 8 to 12 CPS, cycles per second, which is when we're in a relaxed, dreamy mood or when we're doing mindfulness, meditation, or imagining. Theta, which is what we're studying in this video, which is 4 to 7 cycles per second, which is when we're drowsy, drifting into sleep, or enter into deeper meditation states. Delta, 3 to 5 cycles per second, where we're deeply asleep, not dreaming or in deep meditation, as well as the most recently discovered Gamma, which is 31 to 120 cycle per second, which occurs in a state where we're in the zone or in the flow, and we have a state of hyper-learning, are super creative, and have increased states of compassion and empathy. So what are the benefits of theta brainwaves? Well, theta brainwaves occur when we withdraw our attention and senses from the external world and focus on what is going on within us. They arise in that twilight state when we are drifting off to sleep. They also emerge again after we are asleep and go into the REM, rapid eye movement, dream state. Finally, they arise when we enter the deeper stages of meditation practice. So in short, theta helps us to increase our imagination, expand our intuitive and creative processes, allows us to process emotional experiences more effectively. In fact, some people say this is part of what's going on in the dream state. It helps us to restore mind-body equilibrium, to increase our ability to process and learn. It brings us into states of equilibrium and inner peace, and allows us to feel more relaxed and carefree. So besides simply going off to sleep, how do we activate theta brain waves more consciously? Well, if you want to activate theta, then remember when you felt light and carefree. So conjure up some of those experiences and memories. Daydream about the future, especially in terms of a positive future for yourself. You can also engage in powerful emotions to release them. There are a number of practices that you can do. You can do breath work, you can do psychotherapy, you can do something to consciously engage these emotions so that you can free the memory attachment to them and recreate that memory into something that allows you to feel more light and carefree. All this is part of recalling and healing memories from your past. In regards to the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali and the modifications of the mind stuff, learning how to get into theta in a proper way helps you heal and release memories that keep you from being in the now, so to speak. You can also learn how to lucid dream. You can allow yourself to be hypnotized. You can get into deeper levels of meditation practice. Develop your intuition and psychic capacities. You can let creativity, such as art, music, and dance, just flow right through you. You can practice a new language or expose yourself to something completely new that puts you into that kind of altered state where you have to break out of the box and really learn something differently. Now, too much theta can obviously be a problem, because when you tend to have too much, you tend to be dreamy, disembodied, like an ungrounded space cadet. Your capacity for discernment is waning, and it's getting harder and harder for you to discern the unreal from the real. In spiritual practice, you become very ungrounded, and you can be in like a drugged out state, maybe because you've actually done too many drugs, or you've done spiritual practices or deep meditation work in an unbalanced way, so that you are too much in an altered state and unable to ground it into this dimension. The other dimension, the dream world, so to speak, seems too real to you, and you're not able to bridge that over into the reality of beta brain states in the external world. In yoga and other spiritual practices, then, discernment is the key. Discerning what's going on in these inner realms, whether you're practicing lucid dreaming, whether you're developing psychic powers, whether you're doing meditation practices or certain kinds of holotropic breath work, you want to become able to understand what's going on in that realm in terms of the symbols and the metaphors that are emerging. And you want to be able, again, to bridge them out into your everyday life so that you don't get into a place where you can't function anymore in the everyday world. The goal is not to become so tranced out that you can't function. That's not spiritually practical, and it also doesn't help you get into the gamma brainwave states where these inner and outer worlds become balanced. The goal is to become increasingly creative yet grounded, so you bring something of real value forth to yourself and others. And you can only do this when you can consciously work with theta in such a way that you can actively understand what's going on in these seemingly alternative dimensions and bridge them for the benefit of others. So when we have too little theta, we tend to be the opposite. We tend to be too focused on the reality of the external world without giving any credence to the reality of the internal realms where theta brainwaves are more active. We tend to be too beta and not enough theta. When you have too little theta, you lose then your capacity to be creative. You get too pragmatic and, as I said, oriented to the outside world. You get caught up in the facts in terms of the external world. You cannot perceive deeper truths and realities, leading you down the path of becoming dogmatic and closed-minded. You also tend to confuse and make things more literal. You're not able to see the metaphoric value of it. In yoga terms, you're becoming overly conditioned by sensory perception and societal norms that prevent you from adequately knowing when and how to go outside the box. So you're closing down original thought and you're getting too locked into your conditioning. Now, this can happen even in spiritual practices where we become dogmatized by scripture or by what certain teachers have taught us, and we're not able to have a flexible mind anymore. We're not able to get outside of that box and to start to bridge over into a new creative leap, a quantum leap, or into a synthesis of understanding, which happens more and more at gamma. So that concludes our very brief orientation to theta brain waves. If you want to learn more about me and the peaceful self process, of which these videos are a part, here's a little bit about my background and how to reach me on the next slide.